Welcome to session 10. We know that the soil properties are basically divided into two types, index properties and engineering properties. The three engineering properties of a soil are permeability, compressibility and shear strength. Compressibility is nothing but compaction and consolidation. In the previous sessions, we discussed about two engineering properties, that is permeability and compressibility. In this session, we will discuss about the third engineering property, that is shear strength of soils. The shear strength of a soil is its maximum resistance to shear stress just before the failure. Shear failure of a soil mass occurs when the shear stresses induced in the soil exceed the shear strength of the soil. Suppose there is a soil element whose sides are represented with major principal plane and minor principal plane. If sigma 1 is the major principal stress which is acting on major principal plane, then sigma 3 is the minor principal stress acting on minor principal plane. PQ represents the failure plane along which failure takes place. This PQ is acting at an angle theta with horizontal. Because horizontal is parallel to major principal plane, we can say failure plane is making an angle theta with major principal plane. And sigma is the normal stress acting on the failure plane, and tau is the shear stress acting on the failure plane. Then R represents the resultant of normal stress and shear stress which is acting at an angle beta with normal. So Moore has developed a graphical solution to find these stresses. To draw the Moore circle, plot the major principal stress as point B and minor principal stress as point A. Now look at the midpoint of AB, that is point C. Now taking C as center, AC as radius, draw a circle which is called Moore circle. Because it is symmetrical about x-axis, we can take only semicircle. Now from point A, draw a line at an angle theta with horizontal, so that will get an intersecting point D. So the coordinates of point D give the stresses on the plane PQ. So this DH represents shear stress, that is tau, and OH represent the normal stress, that is sigma. So knowing the values of major principal stress, minor principal stress and angle made by the failure plane with major principal plane, that is theta, we can find the normal stress and shear stress corresponding to failure. So that is the graphical solution. So in the Moore's theory, the failure envelope, that is the tangent drawn to the Moore circle, is a curved line. So here in case of Moore's theory, the failure envelope is a curved line. And if you join the points O and D, we can find the angle beta, that is angle made by the resultant with normal. We can also find this normal stress and shear stress using some analytical expressions also. So from the Moore circle diagram, we know that AB, that is diameter of the Moore circle, which is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3. This AB equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3. And then radius, that is AC, which is equal to CB, half of the diameter, sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. So now from this triangle ADH, we can write, triangle CDH, we can write sin 2 theta equal to DH by CD. So that we can write DH equal to CD sin 2 theta. Similarly, cos 2 theta equal to CH by CD. So that we can write CH equal to CD cos 2 theta. Now what is OH? From O to H is nothing but normal stress. So what is this normal stress? OA plus AC plus CH. What is OA? OA is sigma 3 and AC is nothing but radius of the Mohr circle, which is equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 plus CH. CH is, from this we can write CD cos 2 theta. So we can write OH equal to sigma 3 plus sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 plus CD cos 2 theta. So normal stress we can write sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. From these two we will get sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 plus CD is nothing but sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 into cos 2 theta. So using this expression we can find the normal stress. Then from the same triangle we know that DH equal to CD sin 2 theta, which is nothing but shear stress. So shear stress equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 sin 2 theta. So using this expression we can find the shear stress. So knowing the values of major principal stress, minor principal stress and theta, we can estimate the normal stress and shear stress either graphically or analytically. Then Mohr-Coulomb theory. So Coulomb gave the following strength equation: S equal to C plus sigma tan phi, where C is the cohesion of the soil and phi is the angle of internal friction, also called as angle of shearing resistance. So what is the relation between this theta and phi? Theta is the angle of repose or angle made by the failure plane with major principal plane, which is equal to 45 plus phi by 2. This derivation we can see in the next session. Then here C and phi represents total shear strength parameters. These two values C and phi are called as shear strength parameters. So what is cohesion? It is the attraction between particles and phi is the friction between particles. So these two parameters together called as shear strength parameters. The Mohr-Coulomb envelope is a straight line. So here the failure envelope, according to Mohr-Coulomb theory, the failure envelope is a straight line, whereas according to Mohr it is a curved line and it is tangential to the Mohr circle at failure. So in case of C5 soil, this is the failure envelope. The angle made by the failure envelope with horizontal is called as angle of internal friction and its intercept on y-axis is called as cohesion of soil. If the soil is cohesionless, then C equal to 0. In that case, there will not be any intercept on the y-axis. So here the failure envelope starts from the origin. And if it is purely coarse soil, if it is saturated clay, then phi equal to 0. So in that case, the failure envelope is horizontal, that is parallel to the x-axis. So in this case, cohesion intercept is given as the distance between the failure envelope and x-axis. Effective stress principle. According to Mohr-Coulomb theory, shear strength is a function of total normal stress. Total normal stress. According to Terzaghi's theory, shear strength is a function of effective normal stress. So here sigma dash is called as effective normal stress. C dash and phi dash are called as effective shear strength parameters. So how to find the effective stress? By deducting the pore water pressure from normal or total stress. So how to estimate the shear parameters? We can estimate the shear parameters from the shear tests conducted in the laboratory. So these shear tests can be classified into three types based on the drainage conditions provided in the laboratory. They are UU test, CU test and CT test. So what is this UU test? Unconsolidated undrained test, which is also called as quick test. Then consolidated undrained test, consolidated drain test. So in the shear test, there will be two stages, consolidation stage and shear stage. In the consolidation stage, settlement happens. When the load is applied, initially settlement takes place. After certain time, when the settlement is stopped, then shear stage will start. So there are two stages in the shear test, consolidation stage and shear stage. If the drainage is not permitted in both the stages, both in the consolidation stage as well as shear stage, then it is called unconsolidated undrained test. Because there is no drainage, no settlement happens. So it is unconsolidated. And then throughout the test, the drainage is stopped. So it is called undrained test. So what is the application of this UU test? To find the short-term stability of clays for earthen dams during construction, for bearing capacity of soil during construction, we can use this UU test to estimate the short-term stability of the clay. So here we will be taking the total shear strength parameters, that is C and phi. Then consolidated undrained test. If the drainage is permitted in the initial stage, that is during the consolidation stage, and later it is stopped during the shear stage, then it is called consolidated undrained test. So what is the application of this CU test? For sudden drawdown cases of earth dams, to estimate the stability of earth dams during sudden drawdown condition. Then consolidated drain test. So in this test, the drainage is permitted throughout the test during the application of both normal and shear stress, so that full consolidation occurs and no excess pore water pressure is set up at any stage of testing. So what is the application of this CD test? To estimate the long-term stability of clays. So here we will get effective shear strength parameters C dash and phi dash, so that we can estimate the long-term stability of clays. Then laboratory determination of shear parameters. So based on the method of application of loads, the shear tests are classified as direct shear test, triaxial test, unconfined compression test and vane shear test. First let us see the direct shear test. So here there is a cell which is divided into two parts. The cell is divided into two parts. The soil sample is placed inside this cell. So here normal stress is applied by connecting the cell to a loading frame, and horizontal stress is applied by connecting the container to a horizontal force, that is through electric motor. So here this container is placed on rollers, and the settlement of soil is measured with the dial gauge readings, and the force which is applied is measured with the proving ring readings. Whatever the force that is applied horizontally is measured with the help of proving ring readings. So here for direct shear test, the normal stress is kept constant throughout the test, whereas horizontal stress is increased till failure. So at the time of failure, we can calculate the shear stress at failure by taking the shear force measured from the proving ring readings divided by cross-sectional area. Then shear strain equal to delta H, that is change in the thickness divided by initial thickness. So this test is conducted on different samples with different normal stresses. So for each normal stress, we can plot the graph between stress and strain, so that we will get three curves like this. Generally we will be taking 0.5 kg per centimeter square, 1 kg per centimeter square and 1.5 kg per centimeter square. So for each specimen. We'll be finding the stress and strain values, and then they'll be plotted on a graph like this. So the peak of this curve represents the maximum shear stress. So we'll be getting 3 normal stresses and their corresponding shear stresses. By plotting these values on a graph, taking the normal stress on x-axis and shear stress on y-axis, we'll get points like this. If we join these points with a straight line, we'll get the failure envelope. So what is this failure envelope? It represents the failure points. So any point on this failure envelope gives the failure stresses, corresponding normal stress and shear stress. So the angle made by this failure envelope with horizontal is called as angle of internal friction or angle of shearing resistance, and its intercept on y-axis is called cohesion of soil. Now we can plot the Mohr circle also corresponding to any failure point. If we take any one failure point, say it is point F2, then from this point we can draw a perpendicular from the failure envelope. Draw a perpendicular onto the x-axis. Then this point represents the center of Mohr circle. Then we can take CF2 as radius and C as center. A circle is drawn which is called Mohr circle. Now from the failure point, draw a horizontal onto the semicircle. It will intersect the semicircle at a particular point. Say it is point P. This point P represents the pole of the Mohr circle. So why we are preparing this horizontal line? This is nothing but failure plane. See, in this direct shear test, the cell is divided into 2 parts. So the soil is forced to fail along this plane only, because this is the weakest plane. When it is subjected to horizontal movement, this is the weakest plane. So here the soil is forced to fail along this line only. This may not be the weakest plane. So because it is horizontal, we know that the failure plane is horizontal. What is the difference between failure envelope and failure plane? The failure plane represents the line along which the failure takes place, whereas failure envelope represents the failure points. Any point on the failure envelope gives the failure stresses. So here, because we know that the failure plane is a horizontal, we will be drawing a horizontal from the failure point, which will intersect the semicircle at a particular point, which is called pole of the Mohr circle. Now join the endpoints of the semicircle to pole, so that we will be getting the major principal plane and minor principal plane. We know that the major principal plane and minor principal plane mutually perpendicular at the pole. And if we extend this line, then the angle between this failure plane and major principal plane will give you the value of theta, that is angle made by the failure plane with major principal plane, where theta equal to 45 plus 5 by 2. Now let us see some examples. From a direct shear test, the following results were obtained. Determine the shear strength parameters. Draw the Mohr circle and find the principal stresses. So here set of readings are given with respect to normal stress and shear stress corresponding to failure. So first we have to take the normal stress values on x-axis and shear stress values on y-axis. And then we have to plot the points. 3 points are given, 3 failure points are given, 70, 138. So corresponding to 70 and 138, plot the first point. Then corresponding to 96 and 156, plot the second point. Then corresponding to 114 and 170, plot the third point. Then join these 3 points with a straight line. This line represents the failure envelope. The angle made by the failure envelope with horizontal gives the angle of shearing resistance, and its intercept on y-axis represents the cohesion of soil. So like this we can estimate the shear strength parameters. From the failure envelope we can find the shear strength parameters, that is C and phi. Then draw the Mohr circle and find the principal stresses. It is also asked to draw the Mohr circle, but it is not specified about which failure point the Mohr circle has to be drawn. So we can take any point, but preferably better to take the midpoint. So here I had taken the first point, first failure point. So how to draw the Mohr circle? We have to draw a perpendicular. This is the perpendicular from the failure point on to the x-axis. So that point represents the center of the Mohr circle. Then we can take CF as radius and C as center. We can draw the semicircle. So the end points of this semicircle represents the major and minor principal stresses. So like this we can draw the Mohr circle and then we can estimate the principal stresses. Next example, from a direct shear test the following results were obtained. Determine the shear strength parameters. Determine the shear strength, major and minor principal stresses and their planes in the case of specimen of the same soil sample is subjected to a normal stress of 100 kN per meter square. So here again 3 set of readings are given. So corresponding to these 3 points we can mark the points on the graph by taking the normal stress on x-axis and shear stress on y-axis, so that we will get the failure envelope. The angle made by the failure envelope with horizontal will give you the angle of shearing resistance, and its intercept on y-axis will give you the cohesion of soil. Then here it is asked to plot the Mohr circle corresponding to a normal stress of 100 kN per meter square. So here corresponding to 100 kN per meter square means that is second failure point. So this is the second failure point. So corresponding to this point we have to find the major and minor principal stresses. So from this point draw a perpendicular onto the x-axis. So that point represents the center of Mohr circle. Then by taking CF as radius and C as center we can draw the semicircle. Then from the endpoints of this semicircle we can find the major and minor principal stresses. Then it is also asked to find the principal planes. So how to find the principal planes? For that we have to draw the failure plane. From the failure point draw a horizontal which will intersect the Mohr circle at point P, which is the pole of the Mohr circle. Then join the endpoints of the Mohr circle to the point P, which will give you the major principal plane and minor principal plane. Now we can also estimate the inclination of these principal planes with horizontal, that is alpha 1 and alpha 3. Angle made by the major principal plane with horizontal and angle made by the minor principal plane with horizontal. So we can also report the angles made by the principal planes with horizontal. Traxel test. Another shear test is Traxel test. In the Traxel test, the horizontal stress is induced by connecting the Traxel cell to a fluid pressure which is called cell pressure. Initially, the soil sample is placed inside a rubber membrane and it is placed inside the Traxel cell. Traxel cell is a container. It is a glass container in which the soil sample is placed. Then it is filled with water and a fluid pressure is applied. That fluid pressure will be acting all around the soil sample. So it is uniform around the sample. It will be acting at the top as well as on the sides with the same intensity. Then The vertical stress is applied through the loading frame, which is called deviator stress. So here in this case, the horizontal stress is maintained constant throughout the test and the vertical stress is increased gradually till the failure. Whereas in the direct shear test, the horizontal stress is increased till the failure, whereas vertical stress is maintained constant. Here it is reverse. On failure, vertical stress is noted. So by performing the test on n number of samples, we will get set of major principal stress and minor principal stress. What is the minor principal stress? Minor principal stress is nothing but the cell pressure whatever is applied, and major principal stress, that is which is acting vertically, is equal to deviator stress, that is whatever the load that is applied through loading frame plus cell pressure, because the cell pressure is acting all around the sample, it is also acting in the vertical direction. So major principal stress equal to deviator stress plus cell pressure. Then by plotting the Mohr circles for each set of sigma 1 and sigma 3 values, then the tangent drawn for the circles gives the failure envelope. So for each specimen tested, we can draw the Mohr circle by taking the major principal stress, minor principal stress, then taking the center point and taking the AC value as radius and C as center, we can draw the Mohr circle. Similarly for the second sample, third sample, we can draw the Mohr circles. Then we have to draw a common tangent to these Mohr circles which represent the failure envelope. The angle made by the failure envelope with the horizontal will give you the angle of shearing resistance, and its intercept on y-axis will give you the cohesion of soil. So like this we can find the shear strength parameters, that is C and phi. Now if we take any one Mohr circle for analysis, then it will be like this. So this failure envelope touches the Mohr circle at a particular point which is called failure point. So if we join this starting point of this Mohr circle to this failure point, then it represents the failure plane. So this AD represents the failure plane. Then the angle made by this failure plane with horizontal is called angle of repose or theta or alpha. It is represented with theta or alpha. So now this horizontal axis represents the major principal plane, and from this point if we draw a line that represents the minor principal plane. So here in this case, this point A represents the pole of the Mohr circle, and the coordinates of this point D represents the normal stress and shear stress corresponding to failure. So what are the advantages of triaxial test over direct shear test? Here drainage conditions during the test can be controlled and a variety of test conditions is possible. Then pore pressure can be measured and effective stresses can also be determined. So if pore pressure is measured, then this UU and CU test can be represented by UU bar test and CU bar test. See, this UU and CU are called as undrained tests and CD is called as drain test. So if pore pressures are measured for these undrained tests, then they can be called as UU bar test and CU bar test. The sample is not considered to induce failure on a predetermined surface in case of direct shear test, because the cell is divided into two parts. It is forced to fail along the joint. So here in the triaxial test, it is not like that. It can fail along the weakest plane. Then the applied stresses represent a closure approximation to those which occur in situ. Then are the conditions imposed in a shear box test. The stresses induced on any plane within the specimen at any stage of the test can be determined. Then what are the limitations of this triaxial test? Tests on small diameter samples give the unrealistically high strength of stiff fissured clays. To obtain realistic results, large diameter samples should be used. Samples of cohesionless soils can be difficult to prepare and are perhaps more conveniently tested in a direct shear test. Consolidation and drainage of cohesive samples in a triaxial cell take a much longer time to that in a direct shear test. Now let us see some examples. The following observations were obtained from triaxial compression tests on soil samples. Determine the total and effective shear strength parameters of the soil. So here confining pressure, that is cell pressure, is given. Then deviator stress at failure, that is whatever the load that is applied vertically or using loading frame are given. Then pore water pressure, whatever the pressure that is developed in the soil sample, can also be measured in the triaxial test. Even those values are given. So 3 sample data are given. So first what we should do is we have to find the effective stresses. So here it is asked to find the total and effective shear strength parameters. So how to find the total and effective shear strength parameters? What are the total shear strength parameters? C and phi. What are the effective shear strength parameters? C dash and phi dash. So how to find C phi as well as C dash and phi dash? So to estimate C and phi, we need to find the values of sigma 1 and sigma 3. To find C dash and phi dash, we need to find the values of sigma 1 dash and sigma 3 dash. We need effective stresses. So here sigma 3 values are given, that is cell pressure. Then sigma d values are given, that is deviator stress. Then pore water pressure, U values are given. So how to find the major principal stress? Major principal stress equal to deviator stress plus minor principal stress. Sigma 1 equal to sigma 3 plus sigma d. So we can find the values of major principal stress, which is equal to sigma 3 plus sigma d. Sigma 1 equal to sigma 3 plus sigma d. Then we can find the major principal stress. Then what is the effective major principal stress? It is equal to major principal stress minus pore water pressure. Then effective minor principal stress equal to minor principal stress minus pore water pressure. So like this we have to find the values of effective stresses. Then we have to plot separate graphs for finding the total shear parameters and effective shear parameters. For finding the total shear parameters, we have to plot the values of total stresses, that is total major principal stress and total minor principal stress. So here sigma 1 and sigma 3. Sigma 1 is 404 and sigma 3 is 150. For that we have to plot the values and then we have to take the center point and then we have to draw the Mohr circle. Similarly, for the other two sets of sigma 1 and sigma 3, we have to plot the Mohr circles. Then we have to draw a common tangent which will give you the total shear parameters C and phi. Then we have to take the effective stresses sigma 1 dash and sigma 3 dash and then we have to plot the Mohr circles. Again we have to take the common tangent to all these Mohr circles and by taking the inclination of this failure envelope with horizontal we will get the effective angle of internal friction and by taking its intercept on y-axis we can get the effective cohesion. Another example, a cylindrical specimen of dry sand was tested in a triaxial compression test. Failure occurred under a cell pressure of 120 kN per meter square and at a deviator stress of 400 kN per meter square. Using the graphical method, determine the following: the angle of shearing resistance of the soil, the normal and shear stresses on the failure plane, and the angle of failure plane with the minor principal plane. So here one set of readings are given, but it is mentioned that the soil is dry sand. Because it is mentioned it is dry sand, C equal to 0. You should assume that C equal to 0. Then, so with the given failure stresses, that is sigma 3 is given as 120 and sigma 1 which is equal to sigma D plus sigma 3, we can find the major principal stress. Major principal stress equal to deviator stress plus cell pressure. So 400 plus 120, that is 520, and cell pressure is sigma 3, that is 120. So we can plot the values of sigma 1 and sigma 3 on the x-axis. Then by taking the center of these two values, we can draw the semicircle, which is nothing but Mohr circle. Then we have to draw a tangent to this Mohr circle. So how to draw this tangent? Because it is mentioned that it is dry sand, it will start from the origin. Because C equal to 0, the failure envelope will start from the origin. So from this point, tangent to this semicircle, we can prepare the failure envelope. The angle made by the failure envelope with horizontal will give you the angle of shearing resistance, which is 38 degrees. Now, the angle of shearing resistance is obtained. Then second point is the normal and shear stresses on the failure plane. So what is the failure plane? When we join this end point of Mohr circle to the failure point, we can find the failure plane. This AF represents the failure plane. The angle made by the failure plane with horizontal will give you the value of alpha, angle of repose. But how to find the normal and shear stresses? This is the failure point. Wherever this failure envelope is intersecting the Mohr circle, that is nothing but failure point. So corresponding to this point, we can find the coordinates which will give you the normal stress and shear stress corresponding to failure. We can find the distance from O to this failure point as normal stress, and vertical distance will give you the shear stress. Then third point, the angle of failure plane with the minor principal plane. We know that the angle made by the failure plane with horizontal is alpha, where alpha equal to 45 plus 5 by 2. So from this graph we can measure the value of alpha, which is equal to 64 degrees. But it is asked to find this is the angle made by the failure plane with major principal plane. So here in case of triaxial test, this horizontal axis represents the major principal plane. So this alpha represents the angle made by the failure plane with major principal plane. But how to find the angle of this alpha with minor principal plane? We can draw a vertical here. This represents minor principal plane, and this point represents pole of the Mohr circle. So at the pole, major principal plane and minor principal plane are perpendicular to each other. So we can find the value between minor principal plane and failure plane, that is nothing but 90 minus alpha, which is equal to 26 degrees. Next example is a saturated specimen of erosionless soil was tested in triaxial compression, and the sample failed at a deviator stress of 482 kN per meter square when the cell pressure was 100 kN per meter square under the drained conditions. Find the effective angle of shearing resistance of sand. What would be the deviator stress and the major principal stress at failure for another identical specimen of sand if it is tested under cell pressure of 200 kN per meter square? Use graphical method. If it is mentioned or not, we have to use graphical method only. We can find the solution using analytical equations also, but for the examination purpose, we have to use only the graphical method. So here, deviator stress is given and its corresponding cell pressure is given. Again it is mentioned that the soil is corrosionless soil. So C equal to 0. So with one set of values we can find the failure envelope. If it is not dry sand or corrosionless soil, then we need minimum 2 points to plot the failure envelope. Because it is corrosionless soil, we know that the point starts from the origin. The failure envelope will start from the origin. So that we need only 1 point. One set of readings are sufficient to plot the failure envelope. So now after plotting this failure envelope, we can find the angle of shearing resistance by the inclination of this failure envelope. First thing is we have to draw the Mohr circle. So how to draw the Mohr circle? Here deviated stress is given, cell pressure is given. Cell pressure is nothing but minor principal stress, and deviated stress plus cell pressure is equal to major principal stress. We can plot both the values on the x-axis, and by taking the center of those two values we can draw the semicircle, which is called the Mohr circle. Then tangent to this circle can be drawn, which represents the failure envelope. First we had to plot the values of sigma 1 and sigma 3. Then we had to draw the semicircle. Then we had to draw the tangent to this Mohr circle, which will give you the failure envelope. From this we can find the value of phi. Then from the now another thing is find the effective angle of shearing resistance. After that, what would be the deviated stress and the major principal stress at failure for another identical specimen of sand if it is tested under a cell pressure of 200 kN per meter square. If the cell pressure is 200, then what is the deviated stress? So how to find the deviated stress? First we have to plot this point, that is sigma 3, which is given as 200 kN per meter square. Then you have to use the compass, and then you have to randomly draw a semicircle in such a way that it should touch the failure envelope as well as minor principal stress. Like that, by adjusting the compass you have to draw a semicircle. Wherever it is intersecting the x-axis, that will give you the major principal stress. We know that deviated stress equal to major principal stress minus cell pressure. We can estimate the deviated stress. Next example. A direct shear test on sand failed under a shear stress of 70 kN per meter square. Then the normal stress was 200 kN per meter square. Draw the Mohr circle, failure envelope, and find the principal stresses at failure. If a triaxial compression test is conducted on the same soil, what would be the deviated stress at failure when the cell pressure is 250 kN per meter square? So here this is combination of direct shear test and triaxial test. Initially direct shear test data is given. Here it is mentioned that the soil is sand, so that the failure envelope starts from the origin. So 1 point is sufficient to plot the failure envelope. And here it is one set of readings are given corresponding to failure, that is normal stress is 200 and shear stress is 70. So corresponding to 200 and 70 the point is plotted. Then because we know that the soil is sand, we can start from the origin. So by joining this point and extending this line, we can draw the failure envelope. Then we can find the angle made by this failure envelope with horizontal, which represents the angle of shearing resistance. So from this we can find the angle of shearing resistance, that is phi. Then now triaxial data is given. Triaxial, from the triaxial test, the cell pressure is corresponding to the cell pressure 250. We have to find the deviated stress. So plot this value 250. So corresponding to the value of 250. Again by using the trial and error method, by adjusting the compass to touch the failure envelope as well as this minor principal stress, we have to draw the semicircle, which will give you the major principal stress. So by knowing the major principal stress, by deducting it from by deducting the cell pressure from the major principal stress, we can find the deviated stress. Another shear test is unconfined compression test. So here the specimen is placed on the bottom plate of compression testing machine. By operating the handle, the upper plate moves downward and causes compression. The shearing is continued till the specimen fails or till 20% of the axial strain occurs, whichever is earlier. The compressive force is determined from the proving ring reading and the axial strain is found from the dial gauge reading. So here minor principal stress equal to 0 because there is no horizontal stress applied on the soil sample. Only vertical stress will be applied. And major principal stress is nothing but whatever the vertical stress that is applied corresponding to failure. So corresponding to failure, whatever the axial load is there, that divided by cross sectional area will give you the major principal stress. So the axial stress at which the specimen fails is known as the unconfined compressive strength. So the Mohr circle can be drawn for stress conditions at failure. As minor principal stress is 0, the Mohr circle passes through the origin, which is the pole of the Mohr circle. So we can directly plot the value of sigma 1, that is the unconfined compressive strength. Unconfined compressive strength of soil sample. So sigma 1 equal to QU. QU represents unconfined compressive strength. Then we can take the center of these 2 points and then we can draw the semicircle. So here the unconfined compression test is generally applicable to saturated clays where phi u equal to 0. Angle of shearing resistance under undrained condition is called as undrained angle of shearing resistance. And the failure envelope is horizontal. So because phi u is 0, the failure envelope is horizontal. So here why the phi value is 0? In this test, unconfined compression test, there is no drainage permitted. It is a UU test. If there is no drainage, then there is no reduction in the water content. This test is conducted on saturated clays only. So because it is saturated clay, there will not be any reduction in the void ratio if there is no change in the water content. If the water content reduces, then only void ratio decreases. Here, because there is no reduction in the water content, there is no change in the void ratio. If there is no change in the void ratio, there will not be any development of angle of friction between the particles. So that phi value is 0. So here major principal stress sigma 1 equal to QU, that is unconfined compressive strength. That is the vertical stress corresponding to failure. Then cohesion intercept C equal to radius of the Mohr circle. So what is the radius of the Mohr circle? It is nothing but half of the unconfined compressive strength. So we know that shear strength equal to C plus sigma tan phi. We can write this shear strength equation in terms of undrained shear parameters, that is Cu and phi u. So because phi u equal to 0, we can write shear strength equal to Cu. Cu is nothing but Qu by 2. So we can write shear strength of soil equal to half of the unconfined compressive strength. Now let us see the relationship among the principal stresses at plastic equilibrium, that is corresponding to failure. The failure envelope, we know that this is the failure envelope which is drawn as the tangent to the Mohr circle, and the angle made by this failure envelope with horizontal represents the angle of shearing resistance, and its intercept on y-axis will give you the cohesion of soil. If we extend this failure envelope backwards, it will intersect the x-axis at point B. Now from triangle ABC, this is a right angled triangle. So here this 2 alpha equal to 90 plus 5. Exterior angle equal to sum of 2 interior angles. So from this we can write alpha equal to, alpha and theta both are same, angle of repose. Alpha equal to theta equal to 45 plus 5 by 2, half of this. Then sin phi, which is equal to AC divided by BC. For the same triangle, sin phi equal to AC by BC. What is AC? AC is the radius of Mohr circle. We know that radius equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2. Then BC equal to this, if this distance is taken as x plus this is sigma 3, this is sigma 3 plus sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2, that is radius. So we can write x plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. Then from triangle BDE, for this small triangle, we can write tan phi equal to df by x. From this we can write x equal to secant phi. Then sin phi equal to AC by BC. The same equation, which is equal to, what is AC? It is nothing but radius of the Mohr circle, which is sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 divided by BC. BC is x plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2, where x equal to secant phi. If we substitute here secant phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2. From this we can write sigma 1 minus sigma 3 equal to 2c cos phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 sin phi. Then from this, again by taking the sigma 1 on this side and sigma 3 on the other side, we can write sigma 1 equal to sigma 3 1 plus sin phi by 1 minus sin phi plus 2c into cos phi by 1 minus sin phi. Then we know that tan 45 plus 5 by 2 equal to 1 plus tan theta by 2 minus 1 minus tan theta by 2, which is also equal to square root of 1 plus sin phi by 1 minus sin phi. So from this we can write sigma 1 equal to sigma 3, this term will become tan square alpha and this term will become tan alpha. So this is the relationship among the principal stresses at plastic equilibrium. So at the time of failure, the shear stresses are related as sigma 1 equal to sigma 3 tan square alpha plus 2c tan alpha. Then conventional and modified failure envelopes. So from the triaxial test data, we can plot the Mohr circles with effective stresses. Then we can draw the common tangent to all these Mohr circles, which will give the failure envelope. This failure envelope is called conventional failure envelope. But if there are n number of readings, like if so many experiments are conducted, then so many Mohr circles have to be plotted. Then it is very difficult to find the common tangent. In such cases, we can find the values of sigma 1 dash plus sigma 3 dash by 2 and sigma 1 dash minus sigma 3 dash by 2. And then we can take the values of sigma 1 dash plus sigma 3 dash by 2 on the x-axis and sigma 1 dash minus sigma 3 dash by 2 on the y-axis. Then we can plot the values on the graph and then we can join them with a straight line. This line is called as modified failure envelope or KF line. The angle made by this modified failure envelope with horizontal is called as modified angle of internal friction or slope of modified failure envelope, and the D dash is called as intercept of modified failure envelope. These xi dash and D dash are called as modified shear strength parameters. We know that shear strength equal to C plus sigma tan phi. If we write in terms of effective stresses, then C dash plus sigma dash tan phi dash, and shear stress at failure equal to sigma 1 dash minus sigma 3 dash by 2. So what is the shear stress at failure or maximum shear stress? If we go to Mohr circle, so wherever this failure envelope is touching the Mohr circle, that is corresponding to failure. But what is the maximum shear stress? That is nothing but radius of the Mohr circle. So we can write maximum shear stress equal to radius of the Mohr circle, that is sigma 1 dash minus sigma 3 dash by 2. And we know that shear stress at failure equal to shear strength of soil. So we can equate this maximum shear stress with the shear strength of soil. So if we observe these two plots, here this D dash is representing C dash and Z dash is representing phi dash. And we know that effective normal stress equal to sigma 1 dash plus sigma 3 dash by 2. Now if we substitute in this equation, then we can write sigma 1 dash minus sigma 3 dash by 2 equal to, this D dash is representing C dash, so that we can write D dash plus normal stress equal to sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 into tan, here phi dash is represented with Z dash. So the same equation, if we write in terms of this modified shear strength parameters, we can get a equation like this. Then from this we can write from equation 5.6, from this we know that sigma 1 minus sigma 3 equal to 2c cos phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 sin phi. If we take the same equation, then we can write sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 equal to this divided by 2, that is c cos phi plus sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 sin phi. We had written in terms of effective shear parameters. Then from equations 5.8 and 5.9, we can write tan Z dash equal to sin phi dash and D dash equal to C dash cos phi dash. From this we can write C dash equal to D dash by cos phi dash. So knowing the values of Z dash and D dash from the modified failure envelope, we can estimate the shear parameters C dash and phi dash. Let us see an example. A remolded specimen of soil prepared by compaction to standard Proctor maximum dry unit weight at optimum moisture content is used for consolidated and drained triaxial compression test with pore pressure measurements. The test results are given below. Again confining pressure, that is sigma 3 is given, sigma d is given, u is given. So here we have to determine the values of effective shear parameters by drawing Mohr envelope as well as by drawing modified failure envelope. So to draw the Mohr envelope, we need to find the values of sigma 1 dash and sigma 3 dash. We have to find the effective shear parameters. So we need sigma 1 dash and sigma 3 dash. And to draw the modified failure envelope, we need to find the values of sigma 1 dash plus sigma 3 dash by 2 as well as sigma 1 dash minus sigma 3 dash by 2. So first we have to calculate all these values. Then we have to prepare separate graphs for Mohr failure envelope and modified failure envelope. So how to draw the Mohr envelope? This we already discussed. We have to plot the values of sigma 1 dash and sigma 3 dash on the x-axis. Then we have to take the center of those two values. Then we can draw the semicircle. Similarly, for other two sets of values, we have to draw the semicircles. Then we have to draw a common tangent which represents the conventional failure envelope. From this we can find the effective shear parameters C dash and phi dash. Then we should plot the values of sigma 1 plus sigma 3 by 2 on the x-axis and sigma 1 minus sigma 3 by 2 on the y-axis. Then we have to plot the points corresponding to 3 set of readings. Then we have to join them with a straight line, which will give you the modified failure envelope. The angle made by this modified failure envelope with horizontal gives the modified angle of shearing resistance, that is Z dash, and intercept D dash. So here Z dash equal to 30 degrees and D dash equal to 20. Sorry, this is 40. Then we know the relationship between phi and xi as well as C and D. We know that sin phi dash equal to tan xi dash. So knowing the value of xi dash, we can find the value of phi dash. Then here D dash value is estimated from the plot, which is 40. Now using the relationship between C dash and D dash, we can estimate the value of C dash, which is coming as 49 kilonewton per meter square. The last topic in this chapter is sensitivity and thixotropy. So what is sensitivity of clay? When undisturbed saturated clays are disturbed or remolded without any change in the water content, they lose part of their shear strength. This phenomenon is referred to as sensitivity. So sensitivity is defined as the ratio of undisturbed shear strength of soil divided by disturbed shear strength of soil. So for saturated clays, shear strength equal to C plus sigma tan phi, where phi equal to 0. So shear strength equal to Cu. So we can write sensitivity as undrained cohesion of undisturbed soil divided by undrained cohesion of remolded soil. So based on the value of sensitivity, we can classify the clay. If the value is less than 2, it is called as insensitive. If it is between 2 to 4, we can classify it as medium sensitive. If it is between 4 to 8, it is called as sensitive. If it is between 8 to 16, it is called as extra sensitive. And if it is greater than 16, it is called as quick. Then another concept is thixotropy. If a remolded soil is allowed to rest without any change in water content, it regains a part of the lost shear strength. This phenomenon is called as thixotropy.